Welcome, everyone, to the Revenue Architects Podcast. This podcast is tailored for revenue leaders navigating the evolving landscape of sales, RevOps, and revenue management. Today, we have a special guest, Nicole Looker, Director of Revenue Operations at Rebuy Engine. Rebuy Engine is a world-class personalization engine to accelerate revenue growth for Shopify store owners. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Nicole. Nicole, why don't you start with a quick introduction about yourself and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Sure thing. Yeah. So I've been in the Salesforce space and the RevOps space for a little over 8 years now. Definitely have seen a lot and been through a lot during that time. Currently, I am, as mentioned, the director of RevOps at Rebuy, where I own everything from sales systems, customer success, partnership ops, everything under the sun, strategy, execution, data and insights. And I lead a very small team right now, which is really exciting to see how we're growing in the area.
Okay, great. Okay. So, Nicole, I think first interesting story you have is about how you found your way into Salesforce. Why don't you tell us the story?
Absolutely, yes. So I actually started college as an elementary education major. I did 2 years of college doing all the things for grades K through 5, making lesson plans, going in the classroom and teaching lessons. But then one summer, I had an opportunity to be a camp counselor at a local YMCA. And I discovered at that time that doing that all day was not the right path for me. As I mentioned before, it takes a very special soul to be able to do that career path, and they just don't get enough recognition for it.
Oh, yeah.
So then I changed my major to finance. And all the skill sets that I was able to learn from that degree in my first couple jobs after college with data and insights and account management and stakeholder management really transitioned super nicely into my first ever Salesforce role, which was as a sales ops analyst. And in that role, I was responsible for identifying process gaps, building them with the technical teams, taking what the technical teams built and training and enabling our sales team on how to use them. And from there, it just skyrocketed. I went to Dreamforce for the first time and drank the Salesforce Kool-Aid, as they say, and saw the opportunity. And from there, I've just really grown owning different Salesforce orgs, working for different startups, and making my way to where I am now.
Oh, great. Okay. So Dreamforce changed whole or gave you the dream to get
Yes.
into Salesforce.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fantastic.
Big time, yeah. And it was the last Dreamforce before COVID. So it was like the big
Oh,
one where like it was all over San Francisco and 200,000 people in
oh
there.
yeah.
So it was really something to be able to be a part of that.
That's so great. Speaking of RevOps, now that you're in charge of this, I want to know about forecasting. This is what every sales leader, every executive wants to know about forecasting. Always the first thing, right? So, how do you approach forecasting at Rebuy, and how do you use it beyond just the typical, this is what's coming in your net new? I'd love to hear
Yeah.
how you see that as a kind of holistic process.
Yeah, definitely. And I've thought some about this question. And I think being transparent, because transparent is definitely one of my core values that I operate by. We can be doing better at forecasting. And I think there's lots of area of opportunity to figure out how
Always.
to present the data better and derive better insights and really build a repeatable process. Because right now, what we've been doing on the go-to-market side is really working collaboratively to look at the different data that our segments of our go-to-market team are presenting us to try to determine a sense of a forecast, if you will. And I think this is interesting and important to think about because many people do have a great sales forecasting process. They know how to forecast net new business. We can see when the projected close dates are to build out a forecast for that. But then you think about post sales, what's happening? Like, how do you know that your customers are going to stay with you? Companies like Rebuy, we do operate off of annual contracts, but we also have a very large part of our business that is month to month and they can cancel or churn at any time. So how do we know that they're going to renew in September 23rd or if they're going to cancel by then? And there's a lot of different things that as a leadership team, we divide and conquer to see that and try to understand from customer scores to trends in their behavior before, to seeing what kind of communications that they're having with our team, from support to success to partnerships. Are there areas of opportunities for expansion and more? And I think that's where we can do better at, to build a more repeatable process to fully be able to quantify that. And I think that's probably a missing piece for a lot of business, to be able to do that successfully.
I like that. I like that viewpoint. And I wonder, how does that resonate with the executive team as they're trying to say, hey, what's my forecast? And you're like, I need you to see it more clearly. What do you need to do, or what does that look like in a way for you to win the day to be able to build that expansion?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's more thought being put into that, because we at Rebuy especially, and I think a lot of startups too, like BI and data analysis and data and insights is like an evolving function. So I think it goes back to working with your data teams, making sure that you understand exactly the metrics that the teams are trying to see. I know we've gone through this exercise, like, I need to see expansion by quarter. What are you trying to see with that report? Are you just trying to understand if we have a lot of expansion? Are you trying to see if there's areas of opportunity for more? And just really trying to uncover those kind of details has been the ongoing exercise that we have been doing with our executive team, to try to make sure that when we're building these types of forecasts and metrics, we're actually giving them what they want to see. And that's the repeatable process, if you will, that we're trying to make sure that we get established now, while we're fully building out this type of data and insights function on RevOps.
Excellent.
Let's switch and talk about what sales really cares about. And I want to get your perspective and experience into it. And also want to understand, how do you bridge the gap between these field salespeople, revenue ops, right? What are driving win rates, attainment, and also deal velocity, right? How do you get the faster sales cycles?
Yeah. Good questions and a lot to unpack there. So starting with what sales cares about. So our sales reps want to be able to close deals fast. Most sales reps don't have a love for inputting data into Salesforce as needed. And I think that's
I'm
probably
not finding a
That's
single
a
sales guy who will
universal
say, I
truth.
love entering data.
so. Obviously, we want to try to reduce friction wherever we can. And I think that's like a key pillar of a RevOps slash sales ops function. Like, wherever we can reduce friction, we should be trying to work to identify that, so that they can meet with our prospects. They can help get our existing customers on annual agreements to reduce churn and increase retention rates. The sales reps that I've worked with in the e-commerce space do care about the data. And now, in the age of AI, they're asking me like, hey, do we have a chat GPT that we can put into Salesforce and ask it questions about our deals and try to see what's like going on? So I think that's like a new area that RevOps is going to be expanding into, is how to train our AEs to use AI to help them close deals faster, or to help them identify where deals are breaking down before the sales managers see it. And I think enterprise AEs, especially, they're working with complicated customers who have a lot of customizations, who have a lot of red tape to get through to get the like deal. So these types of things with AI can be really beneficial to help them start to identify those areas quickly. The interesting thing too is there's so many sales tools on the market now that are rebranding to like sales agents
All the
or
time,
lead
everybody.
agents.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah.
So there's also this new thing that me as a RevOps leader, I need to like diagnose. Is it actually a sales agent that's going to help us? Is it worth? Is it going to provide the impact? That's been a new area to dive into and very interesting to be a part of. And like going back to then to like, how are we bridging the like gap between RevOps and sales? We're trying to act and be there to support them to do all the things that they need to do to reach their quota. Sales can be a cutthroat area. You're judged based on your quota and if you met it or not. You're judged based on your activities and your calls that you're taking. So whatever we can do to provide the like data and the help for them to do those things is really important to me. And stakeholder management is one of my other key pillars for how I operate and how I train my team to operate too. Because without that, you can't have a successful RevOps function.
I think one sub question or follow-up question I would have is, the sales behavior is all about your compensation plan. There is a saying, right? You want to change your sales behavior, you change your compensation plan. Right?
Yep.
But over and above that arc is definitely something like a culture, sales culture in an organization. And that is really driven from top down. So my question to you is, how does, and in your experience, not just at Rebuy, but overall in your experience, how does this sales culture truly impact revenue operations and truly impact the whole, I will say, sales life cycle, velocity, attainment in terms of training new salespeople or bringing C people to B people to A people type of things?
Yeah, good question. I think from a RevOps standpoint, like we're really there to help and enable them to like do all of that. And something that I have always done and always like to approach is that if our sales team, whether at Rebuy or any other company, has a question or has an idea on how to make things better, they're more than welcome to bring it to RevOps to talk. I don't believe in having like red tape where only like my leaders can submit requests or enhancements to things. I like when the AEs go in my Jira board and are like, hey, I really hate clicking this button to do this. What do you think about X, Y, and Z? And give them the feeling of being empowered by their day-to-day tasks and that they can feel open to ask questions and ask for new things and try to do stuff. And I think that's helped a lot to not have things get stuck for them to where they feel like they have to go to their boss to ask me a question or anything because that also helps with the deal velocity then because now they're not getting stuck with layers of trying to ask stuff, which is really nice, and we're able to get a lot more volume done. The other thing I believe in too is like having a pretty comprehensive view on how they're meeting their quota. We're in the process of implementing a new software to manage commissions, and with that, they'll be able to see how deals that they close are impacting their quota and their commission in real time. I think that's
Oh, wow.
exciting too, because that
That's
helps
very
to
exciting. Yeah.
yeah, and it'll help to drive the behavior that Rebuy wants. Because if they see that giving a 50% discount on this deal is only going to give them like $10 towards their quota, is that the behavior that we want from a business? And is that the behavior and the outcome that they want to see for their quota and their commission? So that type of visibility too, like really helps to just drive the behaviors and enablement in a positive way.
And what you just said is so important because sales cares about closing deals, right? But management cares about the margins. Right? What you just said, you're trying to give or put that margin control in between in real time, saying that, okay, you can, but guess what? Margin is low and you're going to get paid little
Exactly.
less.
Exactly.
That is so cool. Okay.
And so is that done at your level? I'm thinking about what does revenue management look like at Rebuy? And so there's the RevOps and then there's this Rev management
Yeah.
amorphous mindset. And everybody has a different opinion. That is the same way they did what was sales ops back in the day when it first came out. So as we're moving into that construct, how does that look like for you or at Rebuy as you're thinking about commission structures, you're buying systems that affect it, you're having easy access from the sales team to affect Jira boards, which you would see me all the time trying to make UAT improvements all the time. Hey, and then we're like, oh, there's Steve again. He's got 3 new Jira boards because it's 8 a.m. So what does the revenue management look like for you guys?
Yeah, I'll speak specifically to Rebuy because this is where, like, I think in this specific role, like, my skill sets and experience in RevOps has really been challenged to grow. Like, I've grown tremendously since being here. And I think also the past few years, we've seen, like, RevOps role grow in, like, organizations too. So speaking from Rebuy and revenue management, it's very much like a cross-collaborative effort across all the go-to-market teams. We all have a stake in all the different processes. RevOps is very much intertwined most across all the teams as one would imagine, and I think that's the best way to go about it because we do have the full funnel view from lead gen to renewal and or churn. Hopefully not churn, but it's there. And because of that, we can see and understand like what everybody else is doing, where things break down most, and how to resolve it. With that being said, how I view it too is like sales and partnerships are partners. They work a lot together on new biz, on referrals, on even post-sales items. It's very mission critical. Usually customer success is mostly responsible for post-sales. But how we operate as a revenue engine is that sales is also sometimes with our CS team on different things. We see partnerships there. Marketing is helping with the nurture. You add in customer support, and therefore everybody has like a stake in all the different KPIs that the teams are responsible for. And I think that's a nice way to think about it as well, because then you avoid the silos getting too big and everybody understands what everybody else is doing and working on, so you can actually achieve your company's KPIs as well.
So interesting thinking about as if the salespeople put all the information into the CRM, then marketing knows how to find better MQLs that help you build better sales opportunities. But having their cross-pollinated KPI where they can see each other's stuff is a really interesting way of doing that. I'd love to see how you unpack that sometime, because that's pretty unique design in making sure everybody has a visibility into the people around them that are bringing or processing deals as it moves forward.
Oh, absolutely. And I think like too, like we sit as a leadership team, we have specific team meetings about new business, what's going on. But all go-to-market leaders are there. Same with cross-sell and expansion, same with activation and onboarding, same with churn and retention. Like we're all there. We're discussing the numbers, what we're seeing, but we're also discussing the things that we're all doing to help drive it, because we all do have a part, whether it's a small part or a giant part, in making sure that those metrics and insights that we're trying to see are moving the business forward.
But I have a different question. Now, with so many teams being involved, right? RevOps definitely sits at the center of all of these go-to-market things, and a lot of things rely on this. But in true sense, in your opinion, who really owns revenue execution per se? If as a CEO, if I want to hold somebody responsible, who would that be?
Ooh, and it's hard, right? Because like when you look at our high level and how we like operate, everybody has a piece to the pie.
Correct.
As I mentioned, whether it's a small one or a big one is different. But then the actual metrics, so new business, like that falls on sales. Like he's our VP of sales, he's responsible for that new business number and making sure that the sales team is reaching it. And then our VP of success, he's very much responsible for like retention and churn and NRR and all those fun different metrics. Like his team is held accountable for it. It's hard to pinpoint it on one person, because there are like, hey, so and so, new biz is only at 50% this month. What's going on? It's going to fall on sales to explain why that's happening. But then you take another step back. RevOps is the one who's building all these things and reporting all these things and making sure that we're enabling our go-to-market teams to do the behaviors that we need them to do. I don't think the CEO would be like, hey, Nicole, you're responsible for revenue execution yet. But in the future, that could be something that ends up like, hey, like RevOps really helps to drive it forward.
RevOps might definitely get the blame, saying that from all the GTM leaders, saying that because of RevOps, we are not able to get our quota done.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. That could definitely happen, yes.
Jay and I were actually talking today, like we've worked with some clients where they were looking for technological solution, and it turns out to be a process problem. Because they couldn't see that. So they're working on technological solutions to solve what is actually more of a process and systems problem, and RevOps sales process problem. And so it was pretty fascinating that at some point you could be responsible, because if it's a process problem, that's your job, right? As opposed to sales guys are like, we can sell, we just can't get the right people in, or all
No,
that.
every deal for this customer goes through deal desk. So you can imagine deal desk has 100 deals in a month, and end of the month they are struggling and they can't close or reply to all of that, and then start saying that, oh, I could not meet my quota because my deal was waiting at deal desk. But it's a process problem, that why should all deals go to deal desk? It's not deal desk problem actually to be looked. That's I think what typically happens if you don't have proper process or proper discounting approval authorities or
Oh, yeah,
tiers properly.
sure.
And that is where I loved your concept of saying that let us make margin control visible to everybody instead of backend office owning it and worrying about it, saying that we are getting good deals, but there is no margin. And now, how do I go and explain this in front of a board?
Yeah.
Right? You're going to die by growth. Because
I mean,
if there is no margin, that's what's going to happen.
we've seen that with companies in high growth because they're all about getting net new, and then they find out later that they were getting $50 accounts when they needed $2,500 accounts, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, all our sales commission, all our driving, all of our push has been going to the wrong place. And then RevOps was able to actually say, look, let's do it this way and rearrange it, and they tripled their pipeline. There's this definitely can see how that sometimes it can get muddy. And there are different places at different times where, hey, if you need growth and you need numbers, that's one thing. When you need profit, that's another thing. And sometimes you need both, and sometimes you only need one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something else that tends to happen with processes is we tend to overcomplicate a lot of stuff over time and things get
Mm,
so convoluted and wild. And I know for a fact something that I built 3 years ago may not be the best process for how the business is today. And I think
mhm.
that's also on RevOps to
Mhm.
be evaluating that and like talking with your stakeholders because things change. Now the economy is so different. Our customers' buying behaviors are different. In SaaS, everybody's consolidating tech.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to be looking at do those processes from 3 years ago actually work now? Because it's most likely the answer is no.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pivot towards technology since I brought it up.
Yeah.
How are you architecting a centralized kind of revenue system around? I assume we talked that you do put it around Salesforce, but how do you build it around Salesforce to create a future scale? I'd love to hear how you're using things like Data Cloud or other integrated tools to make that work.
Yeah. And also, yeah, a good segue. Tech and the go-to-market tech stack should fall on RevOps. I think we're like a nice unbiased party to understand if it's like
Mhm.
actually providing the value that we're paying for it. It also helps to give us that full funnel view that we see across all the teams. So that falls on me to review, know what it's being used for, understand the use cases. Is there overlap? As I mentioned, like tech stack consolidation is huge for every company. And I think in the age of AI, we're seeing companies pivot their tech strategies and add in things for the same price or less that other tools may have done. And there's also a lot of startups in the AI space and a lot of people coming up where they want to be your design stuff so you can get a tool for really cheap, help design different things. So that all falls in RevOps, and it's been really fun to be a part of that. How we think about things is probably similar to a lot of other folks with as far as what are we getting out of the tool? How are we using it? What's the like purpose? Is it providing the impact that we need? Are our teams using it? Are they properly enabled? And where the overlap may be. We work off of Salesforce Sales Cloud mostly for all the go-to-market teams. And then we have a lot of different stuff connected that controls different parts of our revenue funnel. So Data Cloud, as mentioned, is very interesting, also like newish in the Salesforce space. I remember going to Dreamforce 2 years ago, or I think it was
Hmm.
2 years ago now, where before Agentforce, it was all Data Cloud everywhere.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was all Data Cloud. So it was like Data Cloud this, get started now. Here's how admins can do it. And what we're using it for is we have Data Cloud connected into Google BigQuery to
Okay.
different tables. And I work very closely with our data engineering team to help design the tables that we need and like data that we need to pull out of BigQuery to get into Sales Cloud. So her and I work really closely to design that. We get it into Data Cloud. I do the like data model piece and get everything organized. And then we take all of the data and the segmentation and the insights that we're building inside of Data Cloud and we push it into Sales Cloud. In Sales Cloud, the data that we're getting in there is product usage data, information about our customers actually using our products and like what pieces of the products are they using, what pieces are generating the most revenue, where is there opportunity to grow. And we're using all of that data to put like actionable stuff in Sales Cloud. So what can our teams see in action off of to help reduce the churn, to help increase retention, to grow like more expansion. Our prospects can also install a free trial of our app. So the sales team can use and see their usage during the trial to understand where to focus, where do they need more support to get set up, do they need an implementation package to get things built. And it's been really fun to watch that evolve. Yeah, so we just try to make sure that like the data and the tooling that we're using in Salesforce is so that our teams can take the correct actions and direct behaviors that they need to be doing.
That is
Look,
really,
yeah, I gotta ask. Sorry, this one just stuck to it. You're saying that you're using Data Cloud. So when I buy your technology and I'm using it poorly, my sales guy from your company can tell what I'm doing poorly and help me move forward without me asking, or even knowing that I don't know
So,
how to ask.
because then we can see like what
Yeah,
they have installed and what are they using and what is generating revenue and what's not.
it's brilliant. I love it. Sorry, I
and
didn't mean to
how,
interrupt. I had to ask. I was like, that's so
no,
cool
no,
because
that
I
is,
would break it or I would underuse it all the time. And then, but somebody coming to help me would be so valuable.
and especially in the e-commerce space, the retailers are not very technical people. So they struggle adopting the products,
Yep,
because
exactly.
we also work with retail companies. And right now we are doing a digital transformation of a visitor center. And those people were always pen and paper. Now they will be moving around with iPad and they are like so nervous, saying that, oh, I'm going to be in front of the guest. I don't want to struggle looking where is what. So it was a fun conversation. But my question was, how are you generating these insights? Are you using AI to do it? Or tell us how you are generating it, because that would be very insightful to a lot of other companies.
So a lot of ways. So we do have an awesome data engineering team. She's a team of one, I should say, but she's fantastic and helps us build different things that we want to see. We do have a lot of AI tooling that helps us see different things from call transcripts and what our customers are telling us, all the way to we have an MCP that sits on top of our Salesforce data that our go-to-market team can ask it questions. They can go in and say, hey, I see Nicole's store is only generating ABC from this part of the app. Why? Or what could we be doing better to help them? And it'll tell the like person why. And I think having the natural language prompting on top of our Salesforce data is like insane. And that also fields requests coming to me because they can ask the AI the questions that they would normally ask me to find out actions and how to take next steps too.
Oh, that is cool. But are you using Agent Force or are you using something
No,
else?
so we are, and I love this tool. It's my favorite tool in the Salesforce space. We are using Sweep, and they have a platform for Salesforce admins, and a lot of their tooling is for Salesforce teams. It also does some like Salesforce architecture recommendations to help Salesforce teams build their Salesforce org better. But then they also have a Sweep MCP that sits on top or sits in between your Salesforce data and metadata and Claude. And there's all these security processes are there to manage the like data going through. So that way you don't have to worry about the security piece. But it's been very powerful, and I've been able to generate dashboards out of it that I can present to my COO, like retention rate by sales rep, for example. I can just say, hey, in the last 12 months of all the new business deals closed by AEs, what are the retention rates of customers now? And it just tells me and it stack ranks them so we can see who has the best retention rates across the sales team. That's something that may take a few days to build, but I can ask the MCP it and it'll give me like 10 minutes.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
That is cool.
It's huge.
Okay.
So right before the SKO, and they're like, "Oh, we forgot to figure out these prizes, and we want to celebrate these people." You can just generate it and then give out the Emmy. That's so brilliant.
Exactly. ASAP or the like I'm a believer in enabling my team leads to do what they need to do. So they're all trained up on how to use it too and can do
So
those same things.
Okay. Now you are going to be speaking at OpsStar coming up, right, in mid
Right.
of October.
can't wait.
Yeah, and you're going to talk about why RevOps doesn't stop at close one. So talk to us about it. unpack that for us, not giving up your talk, but unpack that for us, what that means day to day and how DevOps teams really can take ownership of the full customer journey, especially after post sales.
Yeah, that's a really good question and a really important topic that's been gaining traction a lot over the past year or so. And I think like we've seen it, right? Like sales ops was the beginning of RevOps. It was mainly support for the sales team to make sure that they could close the deals. But now we're seeing sales ops turn into RevOps, and RevOps is like the revenue engine of the org. And everything that happens after close win is mission critical. And I'll be talking about this more in my presentation, but it costs more to obtain a new customer than it does to retain one.
Of
There's some
course.
very interesting statistics I don't have off the top of my head, but I've been doing research on this. And then the expansion revenue that you can gain over time and having your customers be sticky to your product and continue to grow in it is more valuable from a NRR and revenue perspective than focusing only on new business. And I've done some really interesting projects here at Rebuy that kind of show this in place. I'll also be highlighting one of the bigger ones that we did. But we made a post-sales process that is based on our different customer segments, depending upon what those segments need to be activated and onboarded successfully. And we've generated a lot of new pipeline, not for new business, but for expansion and upsell and cross-sell and implementation by having a very comprehensive post-sale process. So that's at a high level what my
Oh,
topic
no, great. I would request all the viewers to really come up and attend your talk because that's going to be really insightful. We will be there, so we look forward
Yeah,
to
we're coming to see
meeting
it.
you.
And
I can't wait.
when we go to Dreamforce, we always run down the hill and check into Ops Stars. And so we'll be excited to sit and listen and share with that. And we'll make sure that other people in our audience get to see that afterwards or before. I don't know, you live streaming or is it post where they'll be
I
putting it out?
I think it's post. I
Okay.
think post they'll have some of the sessions re-recorded.
Yeah, so if, for any of those listening, if you're coming to Dreamforce, you can run down the street to the San Francisco Mint, and it's a really cool building and a lot of fun, and meet some op stars and hear Nicole.
Yeah.
At this point, is there any other questions or thoughts you'd have? Maybe some advice you give to people stepping into revenue operations for the first time, because you do have some unique designs on how it's being done. Any other thoughts? We'd love to have you share.
Yeah. So what I always recommend, and I've mentored a few folks where this is the case, everybody gets very bogged down in, I want to be a Salesforce admin. Okay. But there's so much more to unpack with what that means and where your career can go than I just want to be a Salesforce admin. And the most successful Salesforce admins and technical people that I have seen in this space now and who are truly competitive and the ones who land the Salesforce admin job that they want, they've started in a sales ops or rev ops analyst type role. And why this is critical is because you learn to understand the why behind everything that you're doing. You're not just build this flow. Okay, I'll build it. No, you're saying, why am I building it? What's the purpose? What is it going to empower? The downstream implications? And those are the type of people who grow into the really awesome admin jobs, developer, architect. They pivot into leadership and RevOps. So everybody that I've mentored coming into the space, I always recommend to start there and just learn the why behind all the functions about what you're doing.
That is,
Excellent.
I'll tell you, we do so much podcast and we ask this question to a lot of them. I'm being curious, right? Takes you places. You should not say, that's not my job. I'm told, let me do it, right? Why should I worry about it?
Yep.
That's such a nice advice. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
And we are so excited to see you at OpStars and see you face to face. So thank you again for coming onto our podcast and sharing your insights and your wisdom and all the really cool things you're doing at Rebuy. And so I'm just really excited to see you in the next month. And we invite everyone to tune in to what she has to offer, connect to her on LinkedIn and follow her company, because I'm telling you, they're doing some amazing things. And if you're in the retail space, this is something you should check out. So thank you again for coming to our podcast, and we hope you all like and share, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.